We can begin session now.
Hello, good evening to you all. I welcome you all to the 26th NetSet Mentoring Series. And today we have Ms. Komal Raichura, and she will be speaking on modern drama. Without delaying much, I shall hand it over to Ms. Komal. Over to you.
Thanks, Hannah. I
You're welcome,
must.
Didi.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. This is our second session, and then we can have a bit of the review of the previous one. Lastly, in the first session, we had a basic introduction regarding the modern drama. We discussed forms of drama, realism, naturalism, and all such kind of various ways through which we actually had the view of drama. Now, this particular session, as you already have the backdrop, we are going to focus completely how we are going to prepare for net or SLET examination for this from this particular form as well as the time. So let me share my screen first.
Sorry to interrupt, Komal Didi.
Yes.
The thing is, you are visible on one ID and your voice is coming from another ID.
Okay, just a second.
You are muted. Unmute yourself first from laptop.
Okay, is it fine now?
Yes.
Yes, better.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, please continue.
Yes. Okay, is my screen visible, Parth?
Yes.
Okay. So now, as I told you that lastly we had already got the backdrop of modern drama, today we are going to focus completely on what and how you are going to prepare for this particular unit. You can say a form and with the time frame of this particular things. So starting from the first that we had lastly a quite interactive session. So I thought let me this time start with an interaction. So I have a few questions for you. This is the first question. I'm just going to read out the question that is in drama and aside is addressed and you are supposed to give me the answer. You can unmute yourself or you can just type down your answer in the chat box.
Yeah, can we have responses in the chat box?
Okay. Absolutely right. We have the correct answer, and the answer is A. Aside is addressed to an audience by an actor. The words so spoken that are not meant to be heard by other actors on the stage. Perfect answer, Khushbu. Yes, and we have the Pali and Shivamani. Good, we have many answers. Second question. Which of the two following dramatists are associated with the epic theatre? And you have four options: Fernando Arrabal, Bertolt Brecht, Arnold Brunnen, and James Saunders. You are supposed to choose two, ma'am. So Brett is correct. No, Chirag, it's not A and B. Any more? Take a guess at least. Yes, it's B and C. Bertolt Brecht and Arnold Brunnen. Right, James Saunders is primarily associated with theaters of absurd, and at the same time, when we are talking about Fernando Arrabal, he is a quite recent writer, still alive, and he is more into the controversial writings, but absolutely not with the epic theater that is political. So yes, the answer is B and C. Next question. I think this is the easiest one that I have planned. John Osborne's Look Back in Anger is an example of. You are supposed to identify. And yes, we have the correct answer immediately. Chirag, that is kitchen sink drama. Very good. And then we have Khushbu, Millie, Rini. Great. Chalo, next. Jimmy Potter, again from Look Back in Anger, displays you are supposed to analyze the character and you are supposed to identify the two things from his character. Rebelliousness, nostalgia, restlessness, and mendacity. I hope, you have come across. Yes, again we have the correct answer. It's B, that is first and third, rebelliousness and restlessness. Great. And we have many answers. Millie, Chirag, Khushbu, and Nathan. Great. And we have one more in the last one. Again, then we will start with the discussion. Here is given the quote, our home has been nothing but a playroom. I have been your doll wife, just as at home I was Papa's doll child. And here the children have been my dolls, and you are supposed to identify the writer who has done this. Yes, we have the correct answer. The answer is A, Henrik Ibsen, and yes, we have the name of the play also, that's A Doll's House. Great. So now, right, this exercise, why was this? Actually, this was expected from you, that you are supposed to, not only just go through the age, through the genres, you are supposed to actually practice a few questions, that through that you would identify that how much information, how much knowledge have you gathered to go through these kind of examinations. Now, these 5 questions are not randomly picked up. Again, this is not that I have created these questions. These are the questions from your previous NEET and SLATE examinations. Those who are seriously preparing for it, you might have come across these questions also. So I actually deliberately identified these questions because these are the 5 ways or 5 things you are going to prepare for this modern drama. Right, you can also generalize these things for any form and any age specific, but as I'm going to deal with the modern drama only, I'm going to focus on my discussion with this perspective. So if you remember our first question that was about aside, then this is the first thing that we are going to, or you are going to prepare for your examination, that you are supposed to learn, get connected through each and every literary term that is associated with drama or theater. Now, in the first session only, we had a clear discussion that drama is meant to be performed. So when we are, or a person talks about drama, he or she indirectly actually connects himself or herself to theater. So when you are preparing for not only modern drama, but any dramatic form, you are going to anyway need to be prepared for all the literary terms connected with this particular genre. Now, I have given you a few examples. Again, this is not what it is, but again, with this specific time restriction, we are not able, or we are not going to deal with each and every term associated with that. But obviously, I have given you a few examples, And specifically, I have mentioned aside monologue and soliloquy because, most of the time students are confused regarding a few familiar things or few things that are quite connected to each other. Like once a friend of mine actually asked me the question, what is the difference between monologue and soliloquy? Mono means single, log means talk, a person, talks alone, and soliloquy again, the person is talking alone. Then what is the difference in that? So when you are not yourself actually clear about the things, then you are going to face this problem when you are appearing in such kind of examination, when you have multiple choice questions only. You do not have a space to describe it. You are just going to select the things. So you need to be quite clear about each and every term. And I believe that you would be clear with the terms, right? So if you actually want me, I just give you an example, like monologue is a long speech, right? I have actually described the things delivered to another character or audience. Primarily, it's again a conversation. There would be two people, but they are not going to talk with each other. There is only a person who is talking, and the other person is listening, just like this particular situation where I am going on talking and talking, speaking, and you are just going to be the listener, the audience, right? And obviously, soliloquy is something that a person is going to speak when he or she is alone. He is trying to express his thoughts, his ideas, feelings, anything to the audience only. There is nobody around to actually listen to that person. So soliloquy and monologue is something different. So for this particular thing, I am going to just give you the instruction that you are supposed to refer or go through a good dictionary, right? And obviously, if you belong to the department and if you have, gone through Mukherjee sir's lectures, glossary is something that you cannot live without, right? If you want to be in the lecture, you need a glossary. It's an entry ticket for the lecture. Now, if we come down to the second part or the second question that we dealt in the beginning of the session, right? That was about writers. We had the question about who belongs to the epic theater, right? So now, when we are going to the second thing, obviously, the second thing would be the forms during those particular times, right? As we are discussing about 20th century drama. Then the second thing would be that you will have to know which were the leading forms during that time. But that we have already discussed in the last session. So I have not included that. So we're directly coming back to the next thing, that when you know about the forms like realism, naturalism, expressionism, then the next step comes that you are supposed to know about the leading names connected with that particular form. So in the last session, I had a few questions like, ma'am, can you give me some names or give us some names connected with naturalism or the other things? Now, this is what it is actually. I have included, now, if we are talking about realism, Henrik Ibsen is believed to be the father of realism. He started up the things where drama is no more something where you are supposed to, have the willing suspension of disbelief. Here, people wanted you to actually look at the things, analyze, apply your brain, and realize that what is going on around, and you are supposed to do something for it. So he began with the realism, and then we have G.B. Shaw, then Anton Chekhov, and I have tried to mention places from where they belong. You might have questions from that also. So I have tried as much as I can think of that this can be asked in the form of the examination, then I have included that in this particular presentation. So these are the names that is included in the realism, right? So again, when we are discussing about the names, remember, modern writings is not that easy that you can connect a name to one particular form only. There are a few people who are directly and only connected with one, but there are a few people, as we discussed in the last session, that have amalgamated, that have created, they have connected many things. So they are going to be a few names which would be there in the list of another forms also. So don't get confused when you get the same name in different forms, right? So we have these many people connected with the realism. Again, I'm not going to deal each and every person because that would not be possible for the time frame, right? So in realism, we have the leading names. Again, this is not the only names. I have just mentioned the leading names that are, mentioned many times in the examination. Next, the realism. I have included realism, and yes, a few names that would be highlighted. That is Andre Antonio. Free theater. He is the person who actually began a free theater. Now, what is free theater over here is, many times there were a few dramas who were banned, who were not allowed to get presented, like again Ibsen and his play Ghost. It was banned throughout England, and then people like Andre Antonio, they started a few theater that is called the free theater, where they will present all those dramas that were banned actually. So Ghost was actually presented for the first time in free theater. And we have many new names. Again, Anton Chekhov is, if you can mark out, he was there in the realism also. He is again naturalism also. Naturalism is actually sometimes called the extended realism. So you will find a few names common. Then we have symbolism, and again I have marked out and tried to bring out a few major names, right, connected with the form. The same goes on with expressionism. I have marked out the things. Again, I have tried to bring out the places, because obviously whenever we are discussing about any literary new things coming up, mostly it comes up from France, and then it comes down to England, and then you have something going off with America, and we cannot actually mark out exact the time frame. But yes, obviously you can mark out the development of each and every form at different places, and you will have a few names, leading names of every places, right? At the same time, epic theater, as we had the name from it, right? Next, now as I have already given you the leading names, the next level comes, and when you know about the genre, when you know about the propounder or the person who has actually tried to get these things on the floor, then next comes that you are supposed to mark out the leading names or works of that particular person. Again, that you have questions like the works written by a person or not written by a person, something like that. So you are going to go through the names of these works that is written by, again, that is not possible. I can understand that you remember each and every work of each and every person, but obviously we can go through the leading works. The more you read, you will come across with the references, and with those references, obviously something would strike out when it comes in front of you in the examination. So it's all about reading, and maybe a bit of a smart reading, right? So these are the things. The third level, we started with the age and obviously literary terms. That is something that you will have to do whatever age you are talking about. After the literary terms, that is the base, then we are going to discuss about the age, the leading forms. After the forms, the leading forms, you are supposed to remember or mark out the leading names connected with that forms. Once you identify the people connected with this form, you are supposed to go with the leading works of that person, the works written by so and so person. After that, the next comes the characters, right? Again, we go to the questions that we discussed in the beginning. This was the chronology that we went through. This was the question that is look back in anger and the person, right? So you are not only supposed to go through the few names of that leading work, but at the same time you are supposed to analyze the characteristic of that person, like rebelliousness of Jim Potter. Right, so these are the things that is again needed. I have given here you the example of A Doll's House, where the leading character is Nora. This particular character is quite famous for her rebelliousness, for the first time, you have a character, a female character who actually thought out of leaving his family, leaving her children, and trying to get a place of her own. Realism has a very important aspect of women liberalism where they are trying to give a specific place to the lady character. They are trying to give them a specific, space that they are the owner of their own house, their own life. They are not third doll, as we had that specific line, Papa's doll or the husband's doll. We are not the doll. So that women liberalism was quite a leading thing about realism. Women's education, at the same time we had workers theater where they are trying to give a specific importance and specific space to those that are not in the center, right? Remove the center and take everything that is around into the center. So that is the thing that is done quite beautifully and quite, theater is something that connects the people, and that's why you have the most thing coming to the theater, because whether you are literate or illiterate, whether you are reading or not, whether you are a word lover or not, you are going to watch a few plays. The leading one, that is theater, turned out to films. You read or not, you are going to definitely watch. And that's why most of the issues were brought down to the theater. You have the most experimentation in theater. Again, I'm not telling that, other forms are not developed during the things, but this is the form of mass. So you have the most connection in the things, and that's why, when you have the character, a few characters are made immortal because of a few characteristics they brought out. If we are talking about Jimmy, right, he turned out to be a legend because it actually represented the agony and the frustration of the youngster of that time who got no chance, who were not even fighters in the World War, and who are not giving even employment at that particular time. So these particularly representation of the situation of that time actually made them immortal characters, and these characters are supposed to be remembered, right? So and you will anyway remember if you are going through that work. So I have noted down a few characters that are leading characters in the leading works again, right? So next, a few characters are Meithen Mark on the pages of literary history, right? Meithen Mark, again, as I told you, right? So it would have been necessary to have a bit of an idea. Again, leading, they're not going to have the sub-characters, the minor characters, the discussion of that. And the last thing, right? Again, I have tried to make it as simple and as short, but this is something that would be, I think, interesting if you are a good reader of it. And these are the things I think, quite common with the literary students. So let us have a discussion or the answer sessions again, as we started with the questions, right? So these are not the questions, these are the few lines. And I would actually love if you can answer the names of the work from where it belongs. Right? Can we have the answers like in the chat box? Yes, we have the first answer, Chirag. That is first. Once upon a time, and a very good time it was. It's James Joyce, Portrait of an Artist as a Young Man. Great. These are the opening lines. Now, when we are talking about the lines, we can have like opening lines of a things. We can have something that is quite famous line of a character. Right, so it can be like this. So yes, the first, Chirag, you are absolutely right. Portrait of an Artist. Yes, Khushbu, great. Portrait of an Artist, James Joyce. Second, was this the face? Yes, that's Foster's. Perfect, Parth. Dr. Foster's, and can you name, yes, Dipali and Chirag, can you name the writer? That's Marlowe, obviously, Christopher Marlowe and Dr. Faustus. Yes, perfect. Okay, third, all the perfumes of Arabia cannot sweeten these little hands. Yes, Macbeth, and who speaks this words? Yes, Lady Macbeth. Excellent, excellent. Okay. Next, it's a truth universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of a good fortune must be in the want of a wife. Pride and Prejudice, yes, perfect. Pride and Prejudice, Jane Austen, right? This is something that is actually quite remarkable at that time, and she was known for this, right? These lines turned out to be quite famous. Yes, yes, perfect, Nitin. Yes, Jane Austen. Okay. Next, of man's first disobedience and the fruit of that forbidden tree, whose mortal test brought death into the world and all our woe. Paradise Lost, yes. And no need to ask the writer, right? It's obvious, Milton. Yes. So Paradise Lost, the opening line of the Paradise Lost. Yes. Okay, yes, Millie, without wasting any time, yes, you are right. It's the wasteland and it's Eliot, right? April is the cruelest month, breeding lilacs of the dead land. Again, if you just read out the dead land, you might get the hint. That's Westland and Eliot. And yes, yes, Ovia, perfect. The last line is tell of two cities, right? It was the best of the time. It was the worst of the time. Again, a very nice, starter for industrialization. Now, if you see, I have deliberately kept something that is first and last, right? That is once upon a time. Yes, Dickens. Exactly. It's Dickens. Yes. So again, about the time, the first is about the time, the second is about the time. Now, as you can see, right, that when you have a few lines, you are maybe not only, you need not think about it only about the work, you can actually connect it. You can actually connect it when we are talking about it was the best of the time, it was the worst of the time. You can get the reference that this might belong to an age where something is happening that is new, that has some positive aspect, but at the same time you have something that is actually worsening up the things, that is the industrialization and the times. When we are talking about once upon a time and a very good time, it is a kind of a nostalgia, but at the same time it's a very playful way. If you move ahead and if you read out the first few lines of James Joyce, you will actually learn a few things, but you will actually enjoy it reading out the baby Muku and go on. Yes. So I mean, these are the few things. These lines have made marks. So when we are discussing about, again, I mean, nobody, I mean, what I actually believe is nobody can help you out in preparations. Very honestly, we can guide you out. And what is guiding? You can just show the path that this is what you can do. And this is actually what I believe and what I try to do today is when you think that, okay, I'm supposed to prepare. Now, I mean, when we started preparation for NET, we divided the things into the time zone, pre-modern and post-modern and modern. And then after this division, obviously, we will have divide the things in the genres. And when we are doing this, then this is what actually, I mean, would be the frame that we are supposed to work on. Here, I have not restricted myself to a genre. Here, I have not restricted myself to an age. You see a few lines from Shakespearean times. You see a few lines of the modern times. So what actually I have tried to make you realize that, just read out the things. The more you read out, the more references you get, and the more references you get, the more easy it would be to appear for any exam, NET, SET, or even GPSC nowadays. I mean, these are the questions that are going to be there also. So I mean, this is something that I tried my best to give it to you. So this is the end. If you have any doubts, right, I hope that this time again we are going to have a good conversation just like lastly. So over to you, Hannah, and let us have a discussion.
Before the moderator for the day takes over,
Yes.
Dr. Komal, if I may please take your permission and
Please.
say a few things. Dear participants, as Dr. Komal rightly showed in her slide, it was the best of the times and it was the worst of the times. For uh, for a lecture series like this, when we are preparing for NET set examinations, national level examinations, the best of the times are when we have good speakers and we have enthusiastic participants, listeners. And the worst of the times are those when we have good speakers, but we have the listeners joining late or leaving very early, or they don't attend regularly. These are then worst of the times in our experience. So, just to connect with Dickens and tell you what I want to request all the participants, the time for joining, as it was officially mentioned in the mail that you received, is 5:55 p.m. That is 5 minutes before the session begins. So kindly let us join on time so that the resource persons can begin on time, and then they can have their own 50 minutes or 55 minutes to present what they want to present, and then we can have a healthy round of question answers. So it's a kind request to all the attendees, kindly join at 5:55 every day. Most of our resource persons are mostly there by 5:55, so that we can begin the session sharp at 6. All right, thank you so much. Yes, Hena Didi.
So far, I don't see any questions in the chat box, but I think people are welcome to put forward the questions.
Yes. Again, I mean, as we had a discussion lastly, I mean, lecturing is something that is one way. Again, I mean, that is good for introducing something. But I believe when you are preparing for NET or SLET, I don't think this would be something that you know nothing about. Right? And specifically when we had our first session on modern drama, right? You already know the backdrop, you already know what were the things going on. So I thought, I mean, we would have more discussion today, that I mean, you might have come across something and that you have doubts about it. So, I mean, you are free to ask questions. I mean, raise up the things that you need to actually, I mean, had the query. Okay, we have one, that's Millie. Yes, Hannah.
Yes, shall I read out?
Yes, please.
Millie Jetwani is asking, can Impressionism be a part of especially modern drama?
Okay. Now again, Millie, that is not something like whether to include or not, or a few sites includes or not. It's like, when we are talking about modern drama, that is specifically connected with, experimentation. And when we are talking about specifically these things, here they are trying to actually include all those things that written during that time frame, and at the same time written into the context of something else. Like when we are talking about realism, then immediately came naturalism, that is an extension of it, and then came the expressionism, then where it need not be real, it need not be social, it need not be regarding the awareness, it should be something that comes from me, I want to express myself. So it was a complete reaction of the things. So again, you cannot, I mean, sorry, anybody cannot just frame it into one place and say yes, it's there or it's not there. But if I just want to, I mean, understand that you are having the doubt whether it's a part of modern things or not, then my answer would be that it is, I mean, a few things written in the opposition or in the reaction of the things, and that's why it is included in the flow. Right? The things written during those time and for those people as a reaction of realism.
You have another question by Nitin Pitaria. He's asking, can you throw light on different types of drama in modern period in brief?
Okay, look, Nitin, I mean, to be very honest and clear, in the first session only, I had a discussion, a complete discussion regarding the types of things, modern period, right? So, I mean, that would be again a repetition, and I think that would be easy if you refer my first PPT, and I think that would have been sent to all of you in the groups, as far as I believe. Yes. Yes, so I think that would be easier and in detail. I mean, in short, it would not be fun to understand. So please, I mean, refer to that PPT. Yes.
Khushbu Jaiswal is asking.
I think he has specific confusion with two subgenres that he has mentioned: epic theater and kitchen sink drama.
And okay, sorry, but I mean, I had no issue of, I mean, where has he written that? I mean, that's why. Can you throw light on different types of drama in modern period in brief? That's it. I could see that question only.
Yeah. And
okay, so
right,
is it
that's
okay? So is it between kitchen sink drama and
epic theater?
Okay, then Nitin, that is quite different when we are talking about kitchen sink drama and when we are talking about epic. If you remember our discussion on epic theater is a didactic theater that was applied or used specifically to talk to people regarding what should do, what should be done, what is supposed to be done, where they are going to break the fourth wall and they are going to talk to the audience that, I mean, these are the issues going on and you are supposed to go through it and you are supposed to think about it, okay, what to do. So epic theater is the didactic theater, but when we are talking about kitchen sink drama like Look Back in Anger, they are not giving you any kind of a propaganda. They are just showing you the postmodern reality, how people are suffering and they are, I mean, psychologically traumed and all such kind of a thing. So these are quite two different things. Kitchen sink is just showing you the things, but when it comes to epic theater, they are teaching you what is supposed to be done in this particular situation. And epic theater was used in the modern times, while kitchen sink is quite a postmodern, I mean, post Second World War things. So they both the genre have typical work to be done in their own area. So I mean, this is what I can understand.
Khushbu Jaiswal is asking if you could give few names of women dramatists during modern era.
Okay, now I mean, if we are talking about that, then sorry, but I don't have, I mean, the list of names specifically of women, right? So I mean, we can search out for the things, and that's not, I mean, when we are talking about the leading name of any genre, you do not have I mean, name of a person highlighting from this particular, gender, that is women writers. We have a few, but I'm sorry, I don't think, I mean, I have this list with me.
Chirag Adatia is asking that in the Renaissance period, the drama contained 5 acts and it followed strictly followed pattern of rising action, climax, falling. So there was a proper beginning, middle and end. But whereas you move towards modern drama, we only have 1 act and there are certain changes and patterns. So she's asking what are the specific factors that affected in this journey?
Okay. Now, Chirag, if we are comparing the things from even Greeks or Renaissance and moderns or postmodern, this is the maybe, I mean, as I actually ended up with the session, that theater is something people connect themselves actually. They are, I mean, amalgamated with this particular form. It's a form of mass. So when we talk about Renaissance, it's the golden time where people were achieving many things and they had a specific structure in their life also, and that was reflected in the creations also. But when we are coming down to the modern things, If we talk about all the 5 things, whether it's, I mean, structure, plot structure, or action and all such kind of thing, everything that Aristotle talk about, that it should be the part of drama, in the form of action and not of narration, you will see everything broken down. It is maybe the broken down things that are there because of the World War I, first, second, and you have many wars, as you might have seen in my first PPT. It was an age that was broken down, and that's why, I mean, I believe that that's why it is reflected in the forms also, right? That, I mean, you have nothing like rising, falling. In fact, many times you have no action also. Look at Waiting for Godot. So if you do not have action, then you will not have rising things, you have not falling things, and you have no resolution. It's waiting only till the date night. At the end of the second act also, you will say the Godot will come, but you never know whether it will come or not. You are just supposed to wait. So, I mean, if we are talking about the factors, I would say this is what actually affected the surroundings. It might be political, social, everything. So this is what, I mean, it broken down mind, actually broken down everything that is, and that is the new creativity that came down. So, I mean, this is what actually I would say. Yes. Do we have more questions? Yes.
No, there are no more questions so far.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Yes, think, you can.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hello, ma'am. Good evening.
Good
this
evening.
is Trivedi here, and it was a very lucid explanation. Thanks for that.
Thank
and
you.
I just have a query regarding the preparation of NET exam. As
Okay.
in the end of your lecture, you advised us that when you used to prepare, you divided
Yes.
your syllabus in different kind of genres.
Yes.
So, is there any other strategy that we should follow? Because with a very limited time period, we have to, one has, means I'm talking about myself. I will have to prepare with a very limited time period. So, can
Okay.
you suggest some strategies that will work, which will help me?
Okay. Look, very honestly, when we started, I mean, it's not when we started this preparation, we had a group, right? In the university, I belong to Saurashtra University. So in the university, we had a group of 15-20 people, and we started preparation together. So what we did, that we divided the things in genres and times, but we divided these things among the people. So they will read out the things, and each and every person will create a question bank, right?
Okay.
Even today I have that question bank with me.
Okay.
Right, so each and every person will create the question bank, and after that question bank would be shared with each other. So this group work actually helped out us a lot.
Okay.
Most of us worked in that way, and 2 things that we actually, I mean, helped us, most of us, is obviously Chirag has written very nicely that his group work is very important, and in that group you need consistency, right? All of us stayed together till the last, and there should be some kind of a discussion. Remember, I mean, why in both my lectures I tried to keep my PPT, I actually worked out that it should be maximum 20 minutes, but maybe that's, I mean, I took up 25 minutes or something, because I strongly believe that discussion helps. So if you have less time, right, very honestly, if you have less time, then you need a group to work together, to discuss the things, to prepare the things, and then to share the things.
Okay.
Single, alone, and if you think you will cover up everything from the pre to the post, it would be really difficult.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Thanks a lot.
Welcome. And welcome. Yes, Nitin, I actually, yes, agree with you that time is required. But obviously, when you are targeting the things that, yes, I want to do it and I want to actually give it a try. Again, I mean, nobody guarantees you the success, right? There is no shortcut to success. At the same time, nobody guarantees you the success, but at least there is always a scope to give it a try. right? I mean, she is preparing the things. She said that she has a very less time. So at least, I mean, if she is going to give it a try, this is what I actually felt that this can help her out. Again, I can't give her a guarantee that this will work out and you are going to succeed in the things. But I think this is one way that in that particular short time, actually, you can cover up many things. But at the end of the day, obviously, there is no shortcut to success and there is no shortcut to read everything within a time frame, right? You need to work. Yes.
There are no more questions in the chat box.
Okay.
All right. Can I say something?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I was just adding up to what Dr. Komal just said. Like every mentor that we have in the lecture series would have his or her suggestions, would have his or her strategies to share with our participants, and we never know what works out for whom.
Yes, exactly.
So something might work out, say, for certain people. Group work might work out for certain people. For certain other people who are not so very extroverts or mingling kind of people, they might like to do self study, so that might work out for them. So I believe, dear participants, that here our resource persons would come out with multiple strategies and suggestions. You are the best judge for yourself, isn't it? So you know the best what works for you.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it.
Again, I mean, it's not like that each and every person who cracked out NET has created a group for them and they have worked like that. Yes, so obviously I completely agree with Parth that it depends on you and you are the fine things. But obviously, I mean, if you ask 10 people, you will have 10 suggestions and then you can decide that out of 10
True.
which suits you the best.
Correct.
Yes.
And I would like to say one more thing, that
Yes.
whether you work in group or whether you self-study, either of the thing, but what is required, if you are willing and keen on cracking these either of the two exams, so you require consistency in what you are doing. If that is not there, then you won't get there. Like
Yes.
you cannot assure someone that you will get through. You will have to work on it, stick to it, even when it makes you frustrated at times.
Yes, it will. It will. At the end
Huh.
of the day, sometimes you might feel that, I mean, but you know what Hannah said? No, dedication is something that you need. I have seen a few people that have applied for NET for around 10 or 12 years. I mean, it used to be twice a year, once upon a time. Now I think it has changed. But I mean, it used to be twice. And then I have seen a few people who are consistently applying for it for 10 to 12 years and still they are trying it. So, I mean, consistency is something. And again, sometimes it is, I mean, regarding, your preparation, the way of the things that sometimes there are a few people who could crack NET on the very first or the second try. And there are a few people who are, I mean, still working for it. So again, that depends on your preparations, really. Yes, balanced preparation for paper one. Yes, again, paper one and paper two. I mean, if you are focusing only on your subject, that might not help you out. You will have to have the balance of both the things. Even first paper is quite important, and when it comes to the